Impossible to imagine a better comrade and collaborator than Karen Scharf. Super, super smart, but always humble and respectful, visionary, principled, strategic, tenacious, ideologically crystal clear, personally warm, and supportive of those around her. From Bob Master, WA. From an organizer on the staff in Syracuse. She's so little with all that white hair. In that little body is this huge, brilliant mind and a fiery force to be reckoned with. Give me inspiration to live out my purpose for the good of mankind and push for true democracy. From Lakia. From a key organizer who's worked with her for many years. She talks so fast, works so hard, accomplished so much for the movement. Cynthia Ward Wickstrom. New York is quite simply better because of your hard work, determination, and fearlessness. Mario Salento, President, New York State, AFL-CIO. Organizer, mentor, strategist, leader, really great person. Tony Oshner, Deputy Superintendent for Health Insurance, New York State Department of Financial Services. Just two more. You put the yes in yes we can, si se puede. The me in if not me, then who? The puede in si se puede. Doug Williams, Capital District Leader. And then she raised two wonderful children with her husband Jim, with a working balance in their lives. And be almost no higher praise from the remarkable Donna Parson from Demos. And her kids and husband are here, and we should recognize them. It's a movement family. I came to know Karen through her organizing at Massachusetts Fair Share, winning on issues and building strong chapters. Then she went to Carolina Brown Lung Association, then joined remarkable Miles Rappaport at Connecticut Citizen Action Group, and then became co-director of Citizen Action of New York with the fabulous Richard Kirsch, who's also here and should be recognized. And now directing Citizen Action of New York. I've been organizing since I was a teenager. At 18 years old, I was part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee organizing in Mississippi. With Mrs. Hamer, who said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." It's the first time I've heard that. I've run large-scale national campaigns from healthcare to immigration to financial reform. And I know from my experience, there is no one better at organizing and building up the confidence of others to organize than Karen Scharf. We appreciate what you do, we learn from what you do, we're strengthened by what you do, and we love you for who you are. It's our great pleasure to celebrate your 30 years at Citizen Action of New York, and to celebrate you with our love, appreciation, and respect for victories in the future.
Heather stole my speech. Karen actually warned me that might happen. So I just going to sort of wing it. Before I talk about Karen, I do want to say a word about Heather. There are some people who in their very lives sort of capture the trajectory of the time. And the new left, really the old left now, is represented in the work of Heather Booth. From the student movement, the anti-war movement, the women's movement, gay rights movement, community organizing movement, community labor alliances, the revival of conscious Jewish organizing, slow food for all I know. Actually, combine Jewish renewal with slow food is like brisket. It's fantastic. But it is an incredible honor to be on stage with you, Heather. I am just delighted that we get to do this. As for Karen, a lot of nice things have been and will be said about you. A lot of nice things written in this book that Charlie forced everybody to contribute to. I feel like my job is to be a little more authentic. I think that's the word in all those self-actualization workshops you like to go to. But in any case, 30 years is a good moment for an authentic and transparent look at our great friend and comrade. Luckily, the Citizen Action Board did a confidential 30-year evaluation. Pretty glowing, but of course there was a minority report. And one board member whose name shall not be mentioned, Scott Somer, actually was kind enough to share it with me. Karen, of course, has a long history with minority reports. In fact, I think that's the working title of her autobiography, Karen Sharp, Minority Report. I think it's not bad. And I know you're working hard on it, given the competition from other leaders and staff at Citizen Action who are working on their own memoirs. Karen told me the other day she's particularly worried about the competition from 3 of her colleagues. I know we're all looking forward to Bob Masters' book, The Decline of the Left and How Come No One Listened to Me. David Sprinson's tome on Albert Camus, the Algerian War, and the crisis of the left on Long Island. And of course, a little monograph that Jess Wisniewski, somewhere out there, is working on. It's called Come On People, Dial In Now, The Challenge of the Conference Call. So, of course, Karen is a very fast and supple writer. I've seen some of her work, a novel she's been working on. It's called Murder at the Ford Foundation. It's a beautiful but obvious story. The police discover a body of a program officer at the bottom of the atrium, and of course suspicion immediately falls on a disgruntled grant seeker from upstate New York who has unjustly been forced to submit yet another revision to her budget. I think it's going to sell big here. Anyway, in the spirit of that anyone can improve, I thought it would be nice to share, a nice tribute to Karen, to share just a few of the highlights from the evaluation of her amazing qualities as a day in, day out, year in, year out leader of Citizen Action, of the Working Families Party, of the other 273 coalitions that we have led over the years. So, quality number 1, perseverance. 30 years, pretty good. But I guess Tay Revesz said, I don't know, Queen Elizabeth's been in office like 62 years old. Twice as long as you think about it. Your offices on Central Avenue aren't quite the same, but you need to practice that little wave for the state senators. I'm sure it will work. Quality number 2, sets reasonable goals and meets deadlines. Okay, you are definitely in trouble on this one. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am pretty confident that she didn't even tell me I'd be spending the rest of my freaking life on public finance when we got involved in this. My calls to Karen are almost always the same. I say, can we give up yet? She says, nope. I say, okay. I have no idea how she does it, but it definitely works. Of course, her charms aren't universally admired, it turns out. The last item, of course, is the ever-familiar works well with others. It turns out, it depends on the others. I am always surprised when I learn that people don't like me, but I am shocked when I find out, when I hear it about Karen. There's a certainly reasonably high-ranking elected official in New York State who finds Karen very difficult. Someone asks you if you're a socialist, and you inevitably want to say, well, define your terms. You know, if by socialism you mean someone who favors the tyranny of the Stalinist bureaucracy and the joyless, windowless room in North Korea, well, no. But if by socialism you mean someone who wants you to live in a world of decency and justice and love and public funding of elections, I would say, maybe, yeah, not so bad. But so if by very difficult, you mean someone who has an unwavering commitment to economic equality, then I suppose Karen fits that bill. If by very difficult, you mean someone who refuses to allow children in our society to have meager life chances just because they were born poor, I'd say she's very difficult. If by very difficult you mean a woman who cannot abide the stupidity and hypocrisy that dominates political discourse in our time, then she will definitely have to plead guilty. And if by very difficult you mean someone whose body mass index is vanishingly low, but whose backbone is made of steel, then for sure you are talking about Karen Sharp. So I could go on, and if Heather could give me back the second half of my speech, I will. But barring that, I think I speak for everyone here and many others who are not here when I say that we are so proud of you, so pleased to work with you, and it is my pleasure to invite to the stage a woman who is so smart, so principled, and so very difficult.
Hey, wow. Thank you so much, Dan and Heather. We'll talk after that. I first met Heather when I was a summer intern at Mass Fair Share in 1978, when she came in to do a Midwest Academy training session for new organizers. And her training that summer really helped me realize that that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an organizer. So thanks so much, Heather, for all of your kind words, but also all you've done to train thousands of organizers and grassroots leaders all across the country. And also for the incredible leadership you provide to the Progressive Movement and to U.S. Action, and for the role model that you've been for so many organizers, and especially women organizers. So thank you so much. And Dan, I don't know where to start. I really you've been really a very true partner in fighting the intense challenges of trying to transform New York State politics over the past 15 years since we started WFP. And especially as we've worked very closely together to try to move the Fair Elections campaign against all odds. I couldn't really do this work without our Sunday morning and late night phone calls. I know I can always count on Dan for a new idea, a way forward, and a good joke, or at least a joke. I didn't want. And for my fellow honorees, Gail, Hector, and Equasia, each of you bring such heart and soul and inspiration to the work. Thank you for your kind words and also for all that you do. And thank you, Hector, for this great room tonight as well. I want to give a special thank you to the staff and leaders of Citizen Action in New York. Of course, this award tonight is as much for them as it is for me. Everything I've done, we've all done together, and I'm so fortunate to be able to work with all of them. So please join me in thanking first our board members, statewide and local. Stand up if you're still here. I want to give a special shout out to our president, Yvette Alfonso, who's right over there, who's also short today. And Jim Manager, our VP, who couldn't be here, and Scott Summer, our treasurer, who had to run out to count votes at NYU. And Ellen Kennedy, our former president, who was president for 20 years. Where's Ellen? She has to go catch her plane, okay. And our staff, and a really just totally amazing group of committed and brilliant organizers. Please stand up for those staff that are here. And thank you also our former staff, some who came tonight and who really built Citizen Action what it is today. I especially of the former staff want to thank the other past directors of Citizen Action of New York. Even though I've been here 30 years, I haven't been the only one. Mary Lassen started it all and now is working at Center for Community Change. Alan Shardy, my co-director, when we were first building something out of nothing and had to sweat to make every payroll. There's Alan. And Richard Kirsch, who was co-director, was the most delightful organization with Richard. Who made it possible for me to keep at it this long. We built this together. And to my friends and family, thank you for all your support, your love, and your encouragement. My parents, Carol and Matthew Sharp, right over here. Thank you for raising me to believe in justice. Thank you for your love and for your unfailing support, both emotional and financial, for all my endeavors. And to my kids, Jonah and Rachel, this time you have to stand up. Thank you guys. I know you had to put up with a workaholic mother your whole lives. They say I had to spend many dinners hearing me rant about the barriers to justice and the bad doings at the Capitol and the governess and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you for being so good-natured and supportive, and especially for reassuring me when I needed to work instead of being home. And you guys would always tell me, it's okay, Mom, what you're doing is important, go fight. So thank you. And a special thank you to my husband, Jim, sitting over there. that while it's important to change the world, it's also important to have dinner with your family every night. It's important to get some sleep on a regular basis, and to take some time off to relax and go outside to look at the birds. Thank you, Jim. I'm also really proud that in addition to having built an amazing organization, Citizen Action, that we built a very strong collaborative organizing culture and infrastructure here in New York with both temporary and long-term coalitions that bring labor and community groups together around progressive issues. So I want to thank everyone here also who have been my colleagues and coalition partners in this work. I couldn't name everyone in this room, but I do want to just call out a few close partners that I've worked with over many, many years, in addition to Dan and Heather. Thank you, Bob Master, Bertha Lewis, Billy Easton, Bill Liston, Julie Kushner, Donna Parson, and Miles Rappaport. Thank you, all of you. And also, of course, John Kest, who we lost a year ago, and it's still honestly very hard to think about doing this work without John. A deep thank you to all of you here for all your partnership and support. I do want to, before I close, I'll take this opportunity to just quickly share 3 things I've learned that I think I didn't really know 30 years ago when we started. First of all, race matters. It matters a lot. I came to this work with an economic analysis and the goal that a lot of us had of building a broad majority organization of low and moderate income New Yorkers that could work across barriers of class, race, age, and build a majority movement. And it worked, and it's been very effective, and it's been reinforced by the 99% narrative and the 99% movement. But as a privileged white person, I didn't really understand 30 years ago how central racism is, not only to everyday life, but also to organizing for social change. People of color, of course, know this and experience it every day, but often we white folks are very blind to it. Whether it's stop and frisk, or immigration reform, or the school-to-prison pipeline, or the racial achievement gap in education, or healthcare disparities, or the Tea Party backlash against President Obama, or a host of other impacts of racism. In our work, it's time we have to make clear that racism is at the core of many of these policies and outcomes. And we can only really win in New York and a country that works for all of us if we address the racism and racial injustice that divides us. Definitely owe a big debt of gratitude to the staff and leaders of color in our organization, Citizen Action, and the patients to teach me that. Second, we can only win if we build power and we aren't afraid to use it even when it's uncomfortable. I actually did know that 30 years ago, but I feel like I've had to relearn it over and over again. Because after you've been in this work for a while, you build a lot of relationships, you gain some access to those in power, and it's easy to fall into the trap of mistaking access for actual power. And you get caught up in that inside game. You think you're doing something, but you're really not. So while we have many friends here who are progressive elected officials and work really hard, they are also blocked by a system that's controlled by the rich and the powerful. And we all need to remember as organizers that we can only win significant changes when we are willing to relentlessly put the pressure on corporate targets and on the elected officials who are making policy decisions, regardless of who they are and even when the risks are high. Is we really have to do this work out of love, not out of hate.
Yes.
I got started as an organizer really because I was very angry at injustice, and I'm still angry. But I learned from Richard Kirsch that to keep at it and to do it well, you have to be motivated not just by anger or hate, but also by love. What keeps me going is to see people's lives actually get better as the result of our work, and wanting to see our members and each person I meet have a full life with full opportunity. So those are 3 quick things I didn't know that I know now. And I can't close really though on this day without quoting Nelson Mandela, who, in addition to being inspiring, was also a true realist. He said, quote, "I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb."
Yes.
This is so true.
Yes.
That's it, I've gone after 30 years. There's always the next hill to climb. And he went on to say that one can't rest, but must continue on the long walk. So thank all of you for making the long walk possible and keeping it fun and inspiring. I look forward to continuing that long walk to freedom and justice with all of you. Thank you.